Hello, my name is Heather Regan-Addis and I'm one of the directors and founders of the Mindfulness Association. I'll be speaking at the Mindful Living Show on Friday the 6th of March in London about the book that I co-wrote with my colleagues Rob Nairn and Choden called From Mindfulness to Insight. I've been asked to do a series of videos this new year, maybe to help raise spirits that often can be quite low at the beginning of January after the excitement of Christmas and New Year, when we still find ourselves in the middle of winter. Often at this time of year we make New Year's resolutions and then break New Year's resolutions and then beat ourselves up because of it. I don't know whether this is something that you recognise. So instead of that, at this time of year, I practice the nourishing and depleting activities exercise from mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. And in this exercise we reflect on some of the things in our lives, some of the activities that we do in our lives that nourish us, that improve our well-being and happiness and enable us to flourish in our lives. We also reflect on some of the activities that we do that deplete our energy, that deplete our mood, and reflect on whether we can maybe do a bit less of this and a bit more of the nourishing activities. Then, based on what we find in this reflection, we set some intentions going forwards. And it's really important when we set intentions to hold them lightly and not to make them into an expectation, so that if we have an intention to move in a certain direction, if we find that we're taking a detour, or if we find that we're reversing, we can just be open and curious about that and not waste our energy on reinforcing a negative habit of beating ourselves up, but instead place our focus and our energy on our intention. So if we intend to do a nourishing activity and we forget to do it, we just remind ourselves why it is we want to do this nourishing activity and set an even stronger intention to do it the next day. And in this way our intentions grow and the energy of motivation that's fueling our intention also grows. So when we do reflection practice, we drop questions into the mind, and we use the analogy of dropping a pebble into a pond and watching the ripples. So when we ask these questions of ourselves, we're not thinking about the questions, we're just dropping them into our experience and noticing any response, any thoughts, any emotions, any physical sensations in the body. And in this way we're able to get in touch with a deeper wisdom within us. It can be useful in this practice to have a pen and paper to hand and write 2 columns, one for nourishing activities, one for depleting activities, leaving some space at the bottom for setting some intentions. So we'll move into this reflection practice now. So to begin with, checking in with our posture. So maybe a sense of grounding and stability in the bottom half of the body, feeling the sitting bones on the chair or the cushion, feeling the feet on the ground, and then from here lengthening the spine, lengthening the back of the neck, rolling shoulders back and down to open the front of the chest, placing our body in a dignified, alert posture, but also one that feels comfortable and grounded. And then reflecting on our intention for this period of practice, an intention to reflect on nourishing activities and maybe do more of them, an intention to reflect on depleting activities and maybe do less of them or change how we relate to them. Recognizing this will benefit us, but also recognizing that this will also benefit those around us. And then shifting our focus to feel the movement of the breath through the body. And then deepening the breathing. Breathing in for a count of 3 or 4 and breathing out for the same count. Noticing what it feels like to breathe a bit more deeply. And any time that we notice that the mind has wandered, just letting our thoughts be and coming back to grounding the body, breathing more deeply than normal, breathing in for a count of 3 or 4 and breathing out for the same count. And now allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. So simply allowing the body to breathe itself and opening to physical sensations throughout the body. Curious about what can be felt in the body in this moment. Maybe feeling the hands where they're resting on the lap or on the knees. Feeling the sitting bones where they're resting on the chair or on the cushion. Feeling the feet where they're resting on the ground. Sensing from the inside patterns of physical sensation. Allowing the whole body to rest, supported by the ground beneath. And then in the same way, allowing the mind to rest, supported by the body. And any time that we notice that the mind has wandered, just becoming curious about where it's wandered to, letting it be, and bringing ourselves back to ground in the body, rest with a light focus on the coming and going of the breath. Open to whatever is unfolding moment by moment. And now moving on to our reflection. So dropping a first question into the mind. What are some of the nourishing activities that I do in my day-to-day life? What are some of the activities that I do that improve my well-being and happiness and allow me to flourish in my life? And just seeing what emerges in response to this question. What are some of the nourishing activities that I do in my daily life? And if any come to mind, just writing them down on our piece of paper. If we find ourselves thinking about the question, just noticing the thoughts, letting them be, regrounding in the body, resting with the breath, before once more dropping the question into the mind. What are some of the nourishing activities I do in my daily life that generate well-being and happiness and enable me to flourish? And then looking at the nourishing activities that have come to mind, selecting one of them and setting an intention to do it more frequently. Maybe every day, maybe every week. So writing down on your piece of paper a concrete intention to do one of the nourishing activities more often, and noticing what it feels like to do this. And then letting go of that, grounding in the body, resting with the breath, and dropping a second question into the mind. What are some of the depleting activities that I do in my day-to-day life that deplete my energy, that lower my mood, that diminish my happiness and well-being? Seeing what comes to mind. And writing them down on our list. What are some of the depleting activities that I do in my day-to-day life? Some of the tasks, maybe to do with work life, maybe to do with home life. Again, if we notice that we've become distracted, that we're thinking about the question, letting that be, grounding in the body, resting the mind with a light focus on the feelings of the breath, and then once more dropping in the question, what are some of the depleting activities that I do in my day-to-day life? And then looking down our list at some of the depleting activities that we've written down. Is there one that we can let go of that we don't actually need to do? And if so, setting an intention around that. Noticing what it feels like to let go of a depleting activity from our schedule. And there may be some depleting activities on our list that we have to do each day. So maybe we can set an intention around doing them first thing in the morning so they're not hanging over us throughout the day. Or maybe we can reflect on the reasons why it's important to do some of these depleting activities so that they become more meaningful. Or maybe we can set an intention to do our depleting activities or one of them mindfully, making them part of our daily life mindfulness practice. So just seeing what comes to mind, maybe writing one or two intentions down, regarding the depleting activities, and noticing how it feels to do this. And then letting go of the depleting activities. Once more grounding in the body, resting the mind with a light focus on the coming and going of the breath. And as we move towards the end of this short period of practice, reflecting on the benefit that comes from our mindfulness and compassion and insight practice, and cultivating the wish that that benefit will grow for us and will grow for those around us in ever widening circles. So hopefully you have a few intentions written down to let go of some of the depleting activities, or to change how we relate to some depleting activities in our life, and also intention to do some more of the nourishing activities. And I wish you luck with that, and I hope it does benefit you. Remembering what I said at the beginning about holding intentions lightly. So if one day we forget to do something, not beating ourselves up, but instead reminding ourselves of our intention and reminding ourselves of why it's important for us to do this to improve our health and well-being, to benefit ourselves, but also to benefit those around us. And then in this way, we're placing our focus and we're placing our energy into growing our intentions, rather than placing our focus and energy into an unskillful habit of beating ourselves up for not meeting our intentions. Thank you. I look forward to maybe seeing you at the next Mindful Living show in London. As I said at the beginning, I'll be speaking there on Friday, the 6th of March. Happy New Year.